All right. So welcome everybody again. We're session 5. We made it all the way to halfway through our little workshop in here. And now, actually, now that I think about the sort of stuff that we're gonna do today, this is where it starts. Like the intensity is gonna go down. So I know it was a little bit front loaded, many of the things that we've done. So now is the time where we get to apply many of the skills to do more fun stuff. Even though I spent a lot of time right now this morning reviewing a couple of things, I promise it's going to be a short review, not like the crane. But speaking of the crane, it's on the latest video. So you guys can see there, I finished it. I think it looks very nice. And I did a squash racket with the afternoon people. So definitely check that out, like using some of the skills. But that being said, let's get ourselves started. I'm going to actually, let me see if I can find this panel. Let me go to the next slide in here. So today, really, one of hopefully we'll do a little bit of renders. I'm not sure whether we're gonna get to that, especially because the computer I'm using crashes whenever I do renders, but I can show you how to do them. Anyway, we'll do a review of a lot of things, and we'll learn one my favorite command of all time that I've only encountered last year, to be fair, which is called wrap. And wrap is how I make. That's how you literally. After you learn wrap, you'll be empowered to do all sorts of things. And in the bottle of Coke, that's how I can get, for instance, the word Coke to be wrapped around like the surface of the can. So that's what we're gonna learn today. And I said that. Oh, actually, I believe I didn't update the projects. These are not the projects that we're gonna do today. We're gonna do today the Coke, the Saturn V, and the brush rat ring. So we'll do a selection of those. But before we start, just as usual, any questions in your guys' mind? Okay. Well, hopefully, as usual, as I start reviewing stuff, the questions will arise. Uh, So yes, yes, that's an excellent question. I like designing things generally as a single part. So this would be like this crane. Say I want to 3D print it, right? So it's a single part. I just 3D print it like that. But in reality, it will be lots of different parts. And that's what we're going to learn on Friday, how to make assemblies. We're gonna make assemblies using Legos as an example, but like that no, that's an excellent question. It's more of an advanced topic, I would say. But just to give an idea, today these are the projects that I want to work on. I realized the one that I thought was gonna be the easiest, which is the Saturn V, turned out to be the most difficult one, and I can show you how it's the Coke and the Saturn V are already in the website. You can download them and you can look at my thought process. Today we're gonna design the Coke and the ring. And the ring is actually the easiest one, believe it or not. So that's a tradition here at MIT, apparently, that you guys get these rings. So what if you could design your own ring, right? And 3D print it afterwards. So I think that's going to be easy. And I'm going to start with that. Then we'll do the Coke. And as promised, we'll do the banana. I'm not leaving today without doing the banana. So we'll do that. And so more or less, we'll spend half an hour on each of these things. And I'll go around and we can answer questions. Not too many of us, so it should be fine. So I'm gonna exit my screen and I'm gonna take you guys to SolidWorks. Let me just open all of this. So this is where I am. Like I didn't finish doing the ring, for instance. I started it this morning actually. And I'm very satisfied so far with the stuff that I've done. I mean, it's nothing too fancy, right? But for instance, I did all of these little circles to give it some texture. And then you can see the ring is like a little bit of, it has like a cut that goes like this, right? So it's like thin in there, it's like a little bit thicker on the top, and it has like a little bit of a change in geometry, right? So we're gonna give this a shot in just a second. And then just to open maybe I've shown you the Saturn V, but I'll show it to you guys now. This one is similar concepts, I would say, just a lot more difficult. And one thing that I liked a lot was I use the wrap command, which is what we're gonna learn how to do today, to wrap, for instance, the flag on the fuselage in there. I'm not gonna design this, but this took me more time that I wish I had spent on this, but it's on the website. So definitely download the file and feel free to play around with that. But that being said, for today, we're gonna warm up starting with the ring. So I'm gonna do file new and start a new part. And so this one, please follow along because I think we can definitely design it all of us together. So hopefully you guys have all SolidWorks opened up. And with a part like this one, right? And let me go to, I don't have a physical ring in my, like with me. I was just looking at, I think the one that I was basing it off was like this one, more or less. I was just looking at this picture or like that one in there. And I was all right, what would be the easiest way to start a sketch, right? Because, you know, this looks like a fairly complicated geometry. So I thought about maybe, say, drawing the outline of this thing. So one approach to do it is to go here to sketch. Let's choose the front plane. And obviously, what I'll need is a circle. So I'm going to draw a circle, click escape. And don't worry too much about the dimensions. We can scale it afterwards, but I'll make it a 1 inch diameter circle. It could be a little bit of a bigger one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing a couple of center lines. Maybe one that goes like this. And then maybe another one that goes all the way like that. And then I'm going to draw maybe one line that goes like that. And then maybe a hemisphere that goes like that. And then just another center line that goes from this point all the way down. And let me start defining some stuff, right? Let's say I want that to be 0.1. I want that to be 0.25. Why not? Or maybe okay, I'll make that 0.2. I'll actually make that 0.05 just to make it fun. And then I can choose on this, click Control, choose on that little line, and I can make those tangents. That way it follows the curvature. And then maybe for this line there, I can leave that at 0.5. So then we can go here to mirror, and I'll choose all of those, and I'll mirror about this in here. And then, oh, actually I should, let's give that a dimension. There we go, so now it becomes. So hopefully you guys can replicate more or less this geometry, and I'll give you guys a minute or two just to get to this point. So again, one thing I did just for you guys to see is, let me just delete this again, right, for a second. When I did the like this semicircle, I clicked on this point, I clicked on that line. Actually, let me get rid of, actually, I can do it in here. I had a little straight line that is perpendicular to that, right? So I did a line here, there, I made it big, and then I can click on this, control that, and I can make them tangent. That way it follows, like the curvature there stays constant. So now I can just define that again. There we go. And I can do mirror this stuff around here. There we go. And then I define. Are we good so far? We're getting to this point. All right. So next thing I'm gonna do once you get to this point, I'll go down to features, and I'm gonna extrude exactly all of that outline. And let's say 0.5. Okay. So now we have something that is starting to look like the ring. But as you know from the pictures in here, right? Yes. Oh, the little tangent. Why or how? Oh, why? Oh, just because that way, let's say I don't, let me delete it for a second. There was, so now it disappeared. So say I have a circle that looks like that, right? The reason why I like to make it tangent is because I want the curvature. Which I'm gonna give you the very technical definition of this, right? I want the derivative at that point to be the same on this side as opposed and on that side, which means just like the way the curvature is changing is just constant at that point. Because if I were to say mirror this around here, you see it's a very like dramatic change, right? However, if I say I click on this, control that, and I say let's make it tangent, actually no, it's gonna complain. There we go. I click in here, control that, and make those tangent. Let's see, did it work? But let me just bring that point. There we go. Now, yes, it's like like the curvature is changing continuously. So that's really just a stylistic trick, like nothing particularly fancy. How much did I say that was? 0.05. Okay. So now we go to this point. And now one thing that I want to do is I want to create a sketch. So I want a plane that chops this in half, right? So the way to do that is in features, you go to reference geometry and you click on plane. You can click on this face here and you can click on that face there. So now you get a plane that is right on the middle of this thing. So that's gonna be very convenient in just a moment. I'm gonna click OK. Very good. And now I'm gonna do yet another sketch now on plane one. And I'm gonna go all the way. I'm just gonna do a center line that goes all the way from the origin to this point. And I click on smart dimension and I'll make that like 1. And I'll click escape again. So now all I have is that plane in the middle and a line that goes from the origin of that plane to this point, because now in features, I can go to reference geometry plane, click on this point, click on that line, and now I can have a plane that is also on the side of this thing. So why don't you guys try creating those two planes? Okay, it seems that most of you guys got it, so I'm gonna continue with the next step. So now that we're in plane 2, this is where our friend the convert entities will come extremely convenient, because now I'm gonna do a sketch. I'm gonna do a sketch and then go to plane 2. And I'm looking in here, and now what I want to convert is exactly these lines. I'm gonna go this one. I'm gonna do, well, actually not that one. And I'm gonna do, so I chose that one, and then if you go down there, you can choose the one in the bottom. So I'll say, okay. So now you have those two, and I'm gonna right click on those, and I'll make them construction geometries. In essence, I'm converting this edge, and I'm converting, I guess, the bottom of that silhouette to this plane in here. And now that's gonna be fantastic, because now I'm gonna do yet another center line that goes like that. And then I'm gonna do a profile that is, you guys, actually, then I'm gonna do also 2 more center lines. One that goes like this, and then one that goes all the way like that. And then I'm gonna do a little line that goes, oh, be something along these lines. Should do the trick. So now so I'm giving it more or less a shape. You guys can play around with the shape that you give it, but it's more or less something like this. But it's your ring, so make it as fun as you want. I'll make it like that, and maybe this one, I'll make that 0.1. And then as for the height, yeah, 0.9 seems reasonable. And now I can just mirror all those lines, mirror about here. Although one thing I'm realizing is that I'm gonna actually, this line, I'll make it a construction line, and this line on the top, I'll also make it a construction line, because in reality, what I want is this outline in the outside, and you'll see why in just a second. Yes, I go that stuff in there, and then, and don't worry about how much out you go. It could be like any dimension. I can make that 0.2, it doesn't matter, because I'm gonna use this for the following reason, right? You have a sketch that more or less looks like that on plane 2. So now if you go to features and you do extrude cut, I can click on there, and then I'll say through all, and look at this. Boom. So now I gave the ring the side shape. So why don't you guys give this a shot? I'll start moving around. Continue so you guys don't get bored. So now, hopefully you reach this point. So now we're gonna start doing some fun stuff in here. In other words, say I want the word MIT to be etched and like in there, right? And that's like a surface in here. So one approach that I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna go here to sketch, and I'll do another sketch on plane 2. Very good. And now what I want to do is I'm going to convert entities, this line, and that line, and I'll bring them over. So you see again, that's a curved surface, right? But with the convert entities, this is now you're starting to get the gist of what it does. It's projecting it into plane two. So I converted that line, and that line. And now what I want to do is a little center line between those. There we go. And then I'm gonna mirror all these three around here. So now I have this nice little rhombus shape. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is offset entities. And if I click in there, you see how it's gonna do an offset of the entire thing. I want to reverse the direction and maybe make that a 0.05. Yeah, something along those lines. And I'll click OK. And then for the outer outline, right, I can right click in it and make all of that construction. That way I'm only leaving that sketch in there. And I'll start walking around in a moment to show you how all of this will work. But now I can exit my sketch and go to features and go to our friend wrap, which is this command right there. So I can click on wrap and then click on this plane. Actually, I didn't click properly. No. Let me go to wrap and then click in there. And then when it's asking for surface, click on that surface. So now what is exactly the wrap I want to do? I want to wrap it inwards and I'm going to invert it by 0.02. So look at the effect that it induces. Exactly that. So not bad, right? I think it looks pretty decent. And then what I can do is I can do a little fillet and start filleting those corners over here. Well, it's some amount. In my case, it's 0.1. You guys can do it however you want. Like that. And then let's see if I have a plane. Let's see. There we go. My right plane happens to be the one here in the middle. So now the last thing is I want this thing to appear on the other side. So I'll do a mirror along the right plane, and the features I want to mirror are of the wrap and of the fillet. Let's see. Does it work? It does work. Very good. And so now we got that. So I'll start walking around to make sure that you guys can get to this point, and then we'll wrap up, no pun intended, by writing the word MIT in there. Well, actually, one thing I'll do is, let me just go here. Just go to Google. I already did it this morning, right? And I just got like the logo. So just save the picture in a second. I'll be back. Oy. Yes. Sorry, let me go back here. Yeah, I was just grabbing my. Yeah, so to do the wrap, it's a very simple thing. In fact, I'm gonna delete it. That way I can show you again how to do it. So to do the wrap, you have you gotten to the sketch? You've done that, okay. So you go here to features, you click in wrap, and then you click on that sketch. And it's important that just one thing is that the outer outline, right? If you did offset entities, that those are reference geometries, right? Those are construction lines. So it's only the stuff in the set, in the middle, that are solid lines. So yes, you go to wrap, you click on the sketch, and then on the surface that you want to wrap around. So just to try out something different, right? I can choose this one instead of, so this one is like inward, it's like doing like a boss cut. I can also do a boss extrude, and the effect is that it just wraps around something outwards. So we could try this as well. In fact, I think that looks even cooler. And then what you could do is a fillet of all of those corners. There we go. And just leave it like that. And then I can do a mirror along the right plane of these two guys. So if you got into this point, and I'll start moving around in a moment, just look up online for a picture of the MIT logo. And that's where Right, so assuming you go to this point, now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do another sketch. And this is the last thing we'll do with the ring, that way we can move into something else. I'll do here a sketch, and then on plane two, actually, I don't think let me sketch, plane two, very good. And the first thing I want to do is I'm gonna convert entities, this entire face in there. And again, convert entities projects it to plane two, and you can see that nice projection. But the reality, the only reason I'm doing that is because now I'm gonna right click on the area and I'll make that a construction geometry. And this is really to know when I bring now a picture of the MIT logo, I wanna know how much space do I have. That way, more or less, I'm constrained with the dimensions. So we go here to tools, tools, sketch picture, and now I have a lot of pictures. So let's see where, oh, I downloaded it this morning there. The low resolution, I don't care. So now let's see, what do we have? We have a massive thing. So let's first reduce the size to 1. And this is, let's drag it upwards. Oh boy. Just playing around, bring it in all the way to the top. Excellent. Now the next thing I can do is where it says rotate, let's see 90 degrees, like where, all right, let's do 270. There we go. So that is about right. But you see, it's still a little bit bigger than this outline in there. So let's see whether we can make that 0.5. Would that fit in there? Okay, that seems about right. So I'm gonna more or less place the picture around here. And I'll say, okay, good. So now just using rectangles, I'm gonna start tracing out the logo. I'll do all of this stuff. Hopefully this shouldn't be too difficult. Obviously you can define all of this stuff, but if you don't, it doesn't matter. Okay, so we have all of that. That seems okay. And now I'll exit my sketch. So what we can do is go again back to features, wrap, and let me go all the way here. And I can click on the logo. Actually, hold on, there we go. Now yes, wrap. I click on the sketch, I click on this surface, and instead what I want to do is like a wrap where it's extruded inwards. So let's see, will this work? It does. Very nice. So now we have the nice MIT logo there, and cherry on the ice cream is to see whether we can mirror this stuff on the other side. I'm not sure because sometimes it might get a little bit tricky, so we'll see. I'm gonna try. Otherwise, what you could do is on this side, you can choose another picture, maybe a picture of the beaver, and you can wrap that in there. I'm not gonna do that now, or you can see whether we can mirror it. So let's see, right plane, features, wrap number 3. Will this work? No, yeah, like sometimes when you're wrapping on top of a wrap, it gives me the error. So I'm just gonna leave it like this. And then just a couple of other things that you could do is maybe do a couple of details over here. So maybe I could, before I go around helping you guys with all of this stuff, I can do another plane. I'm gonna choose that plane. Let's see. I don't want to do it on the other side. Oh yeah, I have a plane that is over here. And then I can do a sketch on plane 3. And let me do a convert entity, say, of that face. And I can, this stuff you don't need to do. You just do up to the MIT aspect. This is just like some additional stuff. What I think it's cool if I were to say convert just offset entities, all of this stuff, I'll do it inwards, like that. But then this, I'll make that into a construction geometry. Then I can go all the way. Maybe not like that. Maybe what I'll do is There we go, just something like this. And then I can say, all right, I want a little center line over here. And I want this distance as well to be 0.05. Trace those two outlines there. Now we got this thing, and what I think it's cool is that you don't only need to use the wrap command. This is another feature that I found, is that if you were to do an extrude cut, there's a very cool one that's called offset from surface. So I can say, right, I want to offset from that surface. So it's going to start cutting from there, and then I'll say, let's say 0.02, like we were doing. So now look at what it does. You see how it's like a little bit angled, the cut in there. So I can click reverse offset. So it's gonna make a little angled cut just like that, following the surface. So now I have that little cut that went like that, and then I can, I don't know, go here to fillet and just make that. And I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller, that way it fits. There we go, but if you made it to this point, don't worry about making this stuff. It's gonna be on the videos, but the important stuff is that you made it to the MIT. So I'll start walking around with this. But I want to continue because incredibly, we already spent an hour, but I think this is hopefully useful, right? And we learned something new. Now we're gonna do, I want to split the next hour in doing two things. And hopefully you'll be able to follow to some extent. Another exercise with wrap, we're gonna design the Diet Coke can, a very simple version of that, and then we'll do the banana. So let's leave this one for a moment aside, and let's open a new part. I'm gonna file, new. I'm gonna do a new part, and this one is gonna be, shouldn't take that much time. But if you go here to Google Images, I'm just basing it off a picture like this one, right? Like the Diet Coke can, and I'm gonna make it somewhat not so detailed, but I want to get to more or less this outline, right? So suppose I give you a figure like this one, right? How would you guys design this in SolidWorks before I show you how I would design it? Any ideas? Yes. Exactly. That's it. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna download a picture like this, which I already have. So I'll go here to sketch, front plane, and I'll go here to tools, sketch picture, and I'll bring the Diet Coke can. So hopefully when I'm doing this, just try to go to Google and find a picture of like a can if you want. And then this is obviously too large, so I'll make it 2 inches, why not? And I'm gonna leave this like this. And then don't worry too much about the details. This is just for illustrative purposes, but as usual in SolidWorks, the more time that you spend doing something, obviously the results are gonna be better. So I'm gonna start doing a center line that goes more or less roughly like this. And I'm gonna start tracing out the outline. The problem about this picture is that it's not fully facing forwards. There's like a little bit of 3D-ness on it, so it's just it's not the end of the world. You just need to get a little bit creative with how you're tracing your Coke can. There we go. And I'm gonna move this point just like that. Yeah, I think that looks decent. And then I'm gonna bring this line all the way down. And that's why I like a lot using pictures in SolidWorks, because generally you can exploit more or less this sort of symmetry, right? And then you're able to very quickly design at least a prototype, right? That you can afterwards print. All right, so now bring this up right like that. So let's say this is our version of the Coke can. Obviously, if we made it exact, the company would probably come after us. They would sue us. So let's not be too detailed, I suppose, with our approach. Let's leave it more or less like this. Control like that. I'm gonna make that tangent. And I'll go here, I'll control those two, and I'll make those tangent, which like nice curvature in there. And then I'm gonna use a center line that goes all the way from this point to here. And now just to finish this up, actually, I wanna click in here, control, yeah, I think that looks decent. I'm gonna go here to features, revolve, and I'm gonna choose that axis. So then you're left with a little Coke can. And there's obviously a lot more details that you can add to this, because if you go to like the pictures, you have like the stuff on the top, and then the bottom is like, where's our friend? Let me see the Coke bottom. You know how the bottom is like a little bit hollow, like this. But I'm actually gonna show you this. It's super easy to do, and I'm gonna show you how easy it is. So if we go back to our Coke, and I'm gonna go to the plane. Yes, I believe that one chops this in half. I can do a quick sketch in our Coke can. And what I can do is I'm gonna convert entities this profile over here. And then I'm just gonna make that a construction geometry just to have it around here. Don't worry about this detail too much, because it's like this is stuff that hopefully you'll be able to follow afterwards. But I just wanna make like another outline here. And this is very similar when you guys design your fidgets, when you made that piece from where you're holding it with your fingers, right? So maybe I'll make that 0.15 is fine. Let's exaggerate this a little bit. Design it like that. Right. So I'm gonna make this and this tangent, and then yeah, like that. These two equal, goes why not? Let's define that angle to be, I don't know, 5. That looks reasonable. And then what I can do is just wrap this up. So I'm gonna just make it a full face. And if you go to features, there's another one that's called revolve cut. So I can click in there, like click in here. It's gonna revolve cut all of that stuff from there. So now I have at least the hollow aspect of this, and you don't realize it, but like that is actually like circular, because that's the profile that I originally used. If not, I can make that a little bit smaller to make it more pronounced, and then I can fillet those two sides to 0.05. Let's see, just to make it look very pro. All right, so we are more or less, the important thing is that you go to more or less this point. So I'll start walking around before I continue, just to make sure we're all in the same page. All right, so now that I know that all of you guys did it, let's bring the logo. So I already have downloaded it myself, right? I'm gonna try to do this one. So I'll just do the Coke word, right? This one is where hopefully you guys and I can do it at the same time. So now I'm gonna see what would be the best plane to do this. So first, I want to create a plane that is parallel to the front plane, just a little bit off. So what I can do is go here to reference geometry, click on plane, and I'm basing it off from the front plane, and I can say, let's offset that by 0.8, maybe a little bit more, 0.9. I'm gonna say, okay, good. So now I'll go here to sketch, and I click on plane number 1. So then what I can do is go here to tools, tools, sketch picture, and I'm gonna bring the Diet Coke label. There we go. I can move it around and then let's make that 2. So maybe I wanna make it 2.5 because I'm feeling I want this to be big. And just maybe I'm gonna get it more or less. That height seems about fine. Maybe a little bit lower, and I'm gonna bring it all the way to the middle. And then I'm gonna challenge you in one way because today we're gonna just cut the Coke, but you can try bringing a picture of the nutritional facts, for instance, right? And literally trace all of that stuff into the picture. And that if you manage to do that, I'd be very impressed. Now I'm gonna click OK. So now I'm gonna try to do it relatively quickly. That way we don't spend too much time on this. But I'll start tracing the outline of the word Coke. And for doing this, I'm gonna use a combination of spline and straight line. And obviously you don't need to use the word Coke. You can use any logo that you want. Um, but just do it like, just choose whatever you want. So I'm gonna go like this. It might not look so nice, but well, you know, I don't wanna spend more than 5 minutes doing all of this. I'm gonna go like this. Oh, there we go. I will say, however, that Diet Coke is one of my favorite types of Coke. With Coke Zero, they both make it to my top tier of drinks. Uh, now, when I was tracing this by myself to make the Coke model that is on the website right now, I did spend like an hour just making sure that I got the calligraphy right. But well, you know, again, it's depending on the amount of time you spend, the nicer the effect that's gonna be. So now I trace the inner side. Very nice. I'm gonna move this point a little bit over here. Now let's trace a little bit of the K. So beautiful. I wish I knew what is this handwriting called. It's just, I think it's very beautiful. And that would make our lives easier because instead of tracing, we could just download the handwriting into SolidWorks and just write the word Coke. So let's finish it over here. And you can always click on a point and drag it. That also helps you modify a little bit your spline. So I'm almost done. I just need to trace the E. And I'm gonna trade it. Oh my goodness. A second. There we go. And just don't forget to save your files because SolidWorks can be unforgiving if it crashes. That would be extremely unfortunate. Uh, Very good. Okay, so now once you're done writing your word or whichever thing that you chose, just click on exit. And just for simplicity, if I click on this little triangle and then I go to sketch picture, I can suppress it. That way I only see the outline. And look, I forgot one thing that is a good sanity check. I can go back to this little circle right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it. There we go. Excellent. Now I can exit. And now, yes, suppress this picture. So now we're left with the word Coke. That looks pretty decent. So now you go back to features, and now let's do the magic. So we click on wrap. I'm gonna click on our sketch, and then you click on the surface, and I'm gonna make a rapid watershot just to make it barely noticeable, right? Because this is technically a label. I'm gonna make it extremely thin, that thickness. And then I click OK. And there you go. You have your Coke can. So in this case, what I can do is I can change the material properties. Let's say for the body, I'll make it aluminum. Let's see, aluminum. Let's make it brushed. And then for the letterings, so I choose our friend the wrap. I'm gonna make those red. Oh, that looks very decent actually. And then you can do a lot more wraps. You can make a wrap saying, "Oh, this is 200 milliliters." So you can make another wrap saying, "Oh, this is you know, zero sugar, 0 calories." And then to show you my version of the Diet Coke, which is a little bit more detailed, feel free to download this one. I just added the word diet. I included no calories, no sugar. I did do the bottom as well. And the top was also like a little bit fairly complicated. You can check out that. And I did this stuff in there, but it's no different the approach to doing this than with the concept that we already have. And in fact, I like this one a little bit better. So I start moving around. I'm gonna show you guys one last thing for today, and then all I'll do for the remaining part of today, I'll just help you out with all of these things. I know you guys are working on your Coke bottles, but I'm gonna do the banana, or at least show you how I would design the banana. Wait, at least you'll have it on the video, then you can follow along after your free time. But now we're gonna move. We're gonna go back to some of the stuff that we did on Monday, and it's still related to this, but it's just to give you a thought process of how you can take something that allegedly looks very difficult to design, and it's actually easier than you would imagine. So to do the like something like a banana, right? And then you can continue with your Coke bottles in just a moment. But the easiest thing is just take a picture again from the internet and just download it. I already did that before. So now I can go here down to file, new, and I'm gonna do a part, and I'm gonna go here to sketch, and I'll do here, so I'll go here to tools, sketch tools, and then I'll do sketch picture, and I'll bring exactly that banana that I got there. And then just give it whatever size that you want. And I click OK. So what I'm gonna do in here is just the usual stuff that we always do. I'm gonna start first using center lines mainly. I'm gonna start tracing more or less this banana. I'm gonna use a bunch of splines and make sure that don't make it into a continuous spline. Just chop your spline different points. For instance, this is just a single spline that I'm gonna end that point there, and I'm gonna click escape. Then I'm gonna do another spline that goes all the way like that. And I'm gonna click escape there. Okay. Then I'm gonna make another center line that goes from this point to that point. I can escape. And then I'm gonna actually right click that, make those two center lines very nice. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna using the spline tool, I'm gonna trace this stuff over here. Yeah, move this little spline point a little bit in the inside. Right click there and make a construction geometry. And then I'll make a center line that goes from this point to that point. And now one last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do yet this one is gonna be more free drawn. One spline that goes from this point to that point there, and it's more or less in the middle of the banana. And that one is gonna be, I guess, our guiding spline. So I'll make it more or less 5 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm happy with that. And then again, I'm gonna make a construction geometry. And for now, I'll exit. And then I'll go here to the little triangle, go here to sketch picture, and I'm gonna suppress it. So hopefully this aspect of designing the banana is not gonna be too difficult. It's just doing this stuff. Now here's where it starts getting a little bit more fun. And I'm gonna design for you guys a very simple banana because it's not gonna take too much time, but here's the general part. You go here to features, then you go to reference geometries, and I'll go here to plane. And now I'm gonna click on this point. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me just edit this for a second because I want to do one last thing. I'm gonna make a center line that is, I click on that one, I click on that, and I'll make those two perpendicular, and I'll click on these two lines, and I'll make them tangent. There we go, that way, let the curvature is followed, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing over here. Click on the line, control that line, perpendicular, and then this and that. I'm gonna make those tangent. There we go. Now exit back. So now, yes, I go to reference geometry plane, and I'm gonna create one plane at each one of these points. So I'll start with this one, right? And I say, okay. So I have a plane that is normal to that line and at that point, and I say, okay, good. Reference geometry, another plane that is on that point, and it's normal to the spline. So it goes like that. Then yet another plane that is it's at that point and normal to the line. Then I'm gonna do a plane that is at this point, another line, another plane that is at this point and at that line, and then one last plane that is at this point and at that line. So it's looking a little bit messy, so I'm gonna right click on all of these planes and I'll just start hiding them. But you'll see in a moment what I'm gonna start doing. So you know bananas have 5 sides, or at least that's after a quick internet search. Apparently there's, how is it? It's your likelihood to find a banana is that has 4 sides is like out of 5 bananas, 4.7 bananas have 5 sides. Apparently the remaining 0.25 might have more than 1 side or less than 1 side. Interesting stuff. I don't eat bananas. I eat more apples really. But MIT likes bananas, so that's what we're gonna design. So I think the easiest thing that we can do is I'm gonna go to plane 1. I'm gonna do a sketch in plane 1. And what shape has 5 sides? A hexagon. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna change that to 5, and I'm gonna start drawing a hexagon that goes all the way from the center, and I'm gonna bring it up to this point right there. Good. So with a hexagon that it looks, pretty decent. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click on the hexagon and I'll make all of those construction geometries. Now, because a banana it's more of an organic shape, I'm gonna maybe click on all of those sides and make like little arches all the way like this. And this banana, the one that we're gonna design, is gonna be pretty symmetric in the sense that all of these hexagons, with the exception of the arches that I'm drawing right now, they will be equal, like they will all have the same side length. But in the banana that I designed, my hexagons were different dimensions. They were different lengths. So you can play around with that. So I'm gonna now exit my sketch. So I'm left, with something like that. Now I'm gonna go to plane two, and I'm gonna do a sketch in plane two. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'll go all the way up, and I'll draw a hexagon that starts at the origin. And I'm gonna click on this point, hit Control, click on that line, and there's a command that's called pierce. So that brings the hexagon all the way to the top. And then what I can do is I can just make all of those construction geometries and again start drawing, some curvatures in here just to make it look fancy. And one thing that I'll say is that the more I'm starting to draw what you would call the wireframe of the banana, right? Which is essentially drawing like different sections of it. And I'm gonna leave it like that. Yeah, I think that looks decent on that side. Then I can go back to the sketches. For instance, this side in here doesn't look very fine. I'm gonna make that a little bit wider. I'll exit. Might be an interesting banana. Now I'm gonna go to plane number 3, and I'm gonna do yet another hexagon. There's all sorts of different approaches, and every time I do a complicated geometry like this one, I try different ways. But the reality is that I think the wireframe is one of the easiest ways, I guess, to draw a fruit. And the more sections that you do, the better the result that you're gonna obtain. And I leave that like that. Exit. Very good. Now plane 4. Edit. Oh, I don't want to edit. I want to do. Probably feel free to follow along while I finish my hexagons over here. Construction geometries. And then if you don't like how the banana looks like, you can modify each sketch individually, right? And change a little bit how they look. So I'll say, okay, exit. Now I'm gonna do, I have 2 more to go. Another one on plane 5, which is in the air. Point, control, pierce. And then I'm gonna make all of those construction geometries. I will say that doing this sort of stuff, it can be very relaxing. If you ever need something to meditate, I think CADing can be that hobby for you. Like that. And then last sketch on plane 6, which is the one at the very top. I do a little hexagon that goes, there we go. Just like that. Make all of those construction geometries. In other words, I don't want the hexagon to be a solid line. I just want these arches that I'm drawing on the outside to be solid lines because those will be, I guess, the sides of the banana. It's funny because it's starting to look like a circle, I guess, but that is fine. Okay, so now that we got more or less our outline, let's do something that I guess we haven't done together yet, which is a 3D sketch. And to do a 3D sketch, let's click on this little triangle, click on 3D sketch. And now I can do a spline that will connect that point, that point, that point, that one, this one, and that one. There we go. Now I click escape, and then I'm gonna exit the 3D sketch. Okay, now I'm gonna do another 3D sketch. So I click here, and I'll do another spline that's gonna connect this point, this point, this point, this point, this point, and this point over here. Very good. And I click escape. And I'm gonna exit the free sketch. So I'm gonna do one sketch per line that I'm adding. So in here, I'm just giving it like I'm building, I call it wireframes because if I give you copper wires, this is probably how you would do it. So you can try it out actually, that would be fun. And I'm gonna do another one and I'm gonna connect this point to this point. So now this is starting to look a lot nicer. Like you're trying to see, in reality, SolidWorks, right? It's just points in space. And whenever this is in essence how, if you were to look at the very fundamental aspects of like a 3D geometry, it's all wires, like I'm drawing you right now. Now I need to do one more wire, two more wires. Actually, hold on. 3D sketch, wires. So why 3D sketches? Because there's obviously no plane that would traverse all of these points that I'm connecting over here. So I need to do it in a very special manner. Very good, escape. And now one last wire, which is the one that's gonna come out from there. So wire, boom, 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 boom. Very nice. And here, escape. Okay, are you guys ready for the magic? Once you go, and again, this video will be online, so you can take a look afterwards. But here's the magic. Go here to features, and we'll do a loft. And for the loft, I'm gonna choose, well, this plane, that sketch in here. You remember how it's all separate sketches. I'm gonna drag that little green point upwards there. Oh, there we go. You see how it's like twisting slowly. I need to make sure, there we go. Need to make sure the green points are more or less aligned. And now, the reason why I did all of the wires, which are those sketches, is because I'll use them as guiding curves. Then I'm gonna select all of these ones to constrain the shape a little bit. And voila, we got the shape of the banana. And actually, I'm very pleased with this. It looks a lot better than the one I originally made. And let's do the stem just to wrap this up, and then I'll start helping all of you guys. I'm gonna actually go back to our friend this sketch, and I'll make a little center line that goes like that, and then I'm gonna exit. So then I'll go here to reference geometry, plane. So this point and that line, good. Then I have a little plane that is up there. So then I'll go here to sketch, and I'll have, oh, I'm gonna make another hexagon that goes like that, good. And yes, we can convert all of those to construction geometries. And you can add a lot more details to the banana. You can wrap stuff around the banana. You can wrap the word MIT. I can show you how to do that, but not today. Now otherwise I'm gonna blow your minds, I suppose. But we're gonna leave this stuff like this. Good. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on that, control that point, and I wanna make those coins in. There we go. Exit. Good. And now I'm gonna do another 3D sketch, and this time I'll make it between that point, and I'll make it follow all of those points right here. Very good. I click on exit. And now, actually, what I would need to do is I'm gonna do another sketch on this face and make a quick center line that goes from here all the way there. Well, I just need that center line exit. So now I can do another 3D sketch of a spline, and I'm gonna make it follow those points that I have here, and I'm gonna end it, there we go, on that line in there. Exit. So now let's finish the magic. Features, loft. I'm gonna choose that. I'm gonna choose that face. Green point, I'm gonna bring it here. And then for guiding curves, I'm gonna choose sketch 6 and sketch 7. Well, boys and girls, there you got it. We got a decent banana. And now it has to be yellow. So let's make it yellow. Why actually isn't there like a Dr. Seuss like book where you have like green bananas? Something like that. Let's make them green. And you can 3D print this. And now actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hide. I should hide all of this stuff. That way you guys don't have to see it. So I'm gonna start walking around, but I'll pause the recording in just a second. And it took me what, like 10, 20 minutes to do. So it's not very difficult. But I'm gonna stop sharing. Actually, before I stop sharing, just a couple of things left from here in the PowerPoint is that, yeah, so today we're gonna do the ring and the Coke. I think very decent progress. This is how I did it. You can find it on the website. The Saturn 5 is also on the website. Feel free to check it out. My own brush rod ring, I'm still working on it. I wish I had a model, but you know, too much stuff. And then get excited for what I think is gonna be my favorite work session of the entire workshop, which is session 6. So if you need to come to a session, it has to be this one. But this one is where we actually learn the most powerful aspects about SolidWorks, which is making assemblies. And I don't think we'll get to the minifigure. I'll design it anyways, and you'll have it afterwards. It uses also a lot of loft and wireframe structures. But we're gonna definitely design the block. We're definitely gonna design the plate, and we're gonna design the house. We're gonna literally play with Legos in SolidWorks. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. And that being said, I'm gonna stop sharing and I'll stop the recording. Right, but we're gonna get started by designing a snowman. In here, I'm gonna hide this stuff. There we go. So hopefully you guys have SolidWorks all pulled up in your screen. So I think the easiest way, why a snowman? Because I'm gonna illustrate a couple of things that might serve as useful review for our purposes. I think the easiest thing that we could do right now is let's start by drawing a straight line. Actually, I'm gonna draw a bunch of center lines. One that goes like this. One that goes like that. Maybe one that goes like that. And I'm gonna start more or less drawing the outline of how I'd like my snowman to look like. So maybe something along these lines, but I'm gonna first convert all of these guys to construction geometries, more or less to have them here. And then I'll start dimensioning some of these things. I'll say 2, I'll say 1.5, I'll say 1. Let's say 1.6 and 2.5. So this is just like nothing too fancy. I'm just doing a bunch of center lines to more or less get the overall size of this thing. So now I'm gonna exit my sketch and I'm gonna do yet another sketch in the same plane in here. And now, yes, I'm gonna convert entities and I'll start by converting this circle over here. And then what I can do is actually, I'll make it now into construction geometry and then make a solid line that goes from here to there. And then a 3-point arch that goes from this point to this point all the way there. So now I have half of this circle drawn and I can go to features, then revolve, and I'm gonna revolve around there. So now I have a sphere. Very good. So now what I can do is yet another sketch, go to the front plane again, convert entities, and I'm gonna bring that circle there. I'm gonna make it into construction, and then as usual, draw a line that goes like that, and maybe then a 3-point arch It goes just like this. And then again, features, revolve. I'm gonna revolve along that axis. And then I'm gonna do one last time in there. So sketch on the front plane. I'm gonna convert entities. Then I'm gonna then make this become a reference line, draw a straight line from here to there, and then do a little arch that goes all the way like that. And then features, revolve. I'm gonna revolve in there. So at least we got something that attempts to be like a snowman. So why don't you guys, we're gonna start easy. Why don't you guys start by drawing something like this? I'll go around helping you guys. Okay, so now let's continue doing some stuff with the snowman. That way I see some of you guys. I want to start adding some buttons in there. Let's say I want 3 buttons to be in there. And I think one cool way of doing it is I'm gonna go here to the front plane and I'll go then to reference geometry plane. And I want to create a plane that is offset from that plane. So I'll make it maybe 0.5, no, actually a little bit more. Let's say 1. Yeah, that seems fairly, maybe 1.5. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it here. So now I go here to sketch, and I go to plane 1. Now what I can do is now convert entities, and I'm gonna click on that little sphere that I have there. So now I have, I guess, this circle that corresponds to this space converted into this plane. And another entity I can convert is that, actually not that face, let me just clear. It is, oh, that line and that line, there we go. So I bring all of that in there, and now I can select all of that and make it reference geometry. Okay, the reason why I did that is because now I'm gonna start adding a couple of center lines. I'll add 4 to be precise. There we go, and I'm gonna click on each one of these lines. Actually, I'll add 5 to be fair. And I'll click on each one of these lines. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll make them equal. And then I'll make a little circle on each one of them. So now we have 4 buttons, and then I'm gonna click on each one of the circles. I'll make these equal, and then I'll go here to smart dimension, and I'll make those 0.15. And I'm gonna exit my sketch, because one pretty cool thing that I'm gonna do is if I go here to features, and then there's this command that's called wrap up there. Wrap. So I'm gonna click in wrap, and then click over there, and then click on this surface. Oh, where's it? No, oh, look at you. It doesn't allow me to do it on sphere. So I'm gonna try it. Then I'm gonna try yet a different approach. I'm gonna right click here. And instead, I'm gonna go here to features. I'm gonna do extrude cut. But there's a version of the extrude cut that's called offset from surface. So you can choose this little surface in there. And now I want to cut, I click here, reverse offset. And now I'm gonna say that I want 0.01. Maybe something along those lines. And I click OK. So now I have my 4 buttons drawn, I guess, in the face of the snowman. So try, I guess on the belly, try doing that. And let's start going around. Yes. Let me, were you able to get to the point of creating this plane? Yeah. Okay. So in the plane, I'm gonna do a sketch here on that plane. And actually, I'm gonna click on that entire face. Actually, well, not in that. I click on convert entities, and well, I'll start first. I have that circumference, right? So I can click OK. And then another thing that I have is, I guess, those diameters. So I'm gonna click on convert entities, that diameter, You see how, again, it's the same story as usual, that it's like a circle and it gets projected as the diameter. Then I'll select all of that and I'll make it construction geometry because I don't want these to be solid lines. So for now, try doing the holes, and in just a little bit, what we're gonna do, we're gonna add the nose, we're gonna add a hat, we're gonna add the arms, and we're gonna add the face, obviously. And then before I continue answering more questions, let me show you, I guess, something like fun for the face could be, but I'm gonna do, thanks to a question for Vector, I'm gonna do it in a different way. So I'm gonna go here to a front plane, I go here to sketch, and now I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna convert entities, that circle over here. I'm gonna make it into construction, convert entities, that line. I'm gonna make it into a construction geometry as well. So now what I could do is I'm gonna make a couple of things. I'm just gonna make like a T structure. You guys can start trying out this in a second. Actually, 0.2 might be better. Five. And then I'm gonna start making the eyes like this. Now I'm gonna make a quick center line. It goes like this. Another one. Bring up. Okay, I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. There we go. Make those equal. And I guess I'm gonna define this distance in here to be 0.15. Yeah, 0.17, that sounds about right. And then I'm gonna make two arches. One that goes like this. And one that goes. Huh? I like that. I'm gonna give this a. There's gonna be, I think, in exactly a week from today, we're gonna do a test dummy model. So this might be a fun way of making the face. So just to make sure, I'm making this on the plane that is the one that chops this in half, because now I'm gonna use a different technique, which is go here to boss extrude, and now you can make boss extrude but offset from surface. So I'm gonna choose here. So now what we can do is, let's see, 0.05. How would that look like? I'm gonna reverse the offset. Actually do 0.01. There we go. That started to look funny. And then just one last thing before I start helping you guys again is I'm gonna choose this plane, the right plane, which chops this on the other direction. I'm gonna go here to sketch. I'm gonna hide. It's fine. So I'm gonna now convert entities again, this face. That is good. I'm gonna make that a construction geometry. And then I'm gonna go. There we go. We need to start making our friend's nose, right? In fact, it could be tilted to some degree. Could make it something that goes like that. And I can go around explaining all of this stuff as we go. But in other words, I'm gonna make something looks more or less. Don't worry about the shape, and as you can see, I'm not making a, well, actually I could make it fully perpendicular. That way we have a nice nose that looks like that. But I'm actually not gonna do it. I'm gonna leave it like this. That way it's digging a little bit into the inside. So don't worry too much about that. So I'm gonna define this distance to be 0.08, just to fully define all this stuff. Oy. All of this stuff, there we go. Excellent. All right, so now what I could do is, now I could do a quick fillet over there. Let's see, would that work? Maybe a little bit smaller. No, I think I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so I'll go here to features, then revolve, and I can revolve along here. Oh, there we go. So that's the issue that is happening. I would need to bring this stuff. Get rid of that. I'm gonna put, oh, because I'm also defining that one. So I'm gonna move this point a little bit inwards. There we go. And now let's see what happens when I revolve. Oh, because I want this point to continue downwards more. So maybe the best way to do this is I'm gonna, since this is tilted, I'm gonna design it going downwards. Now let's see. There we go. So now it is actually all fully going in. And I can click OK. So now our guy has a nose as well. So try doing the face and the nose for now. I want to show you guys, for those that have advanced, let's try actually doing one of the arms of this thing. That's going to be fun. So to do the arms, I want to have, if you look at the snowman, right? I want an arm that is like bent like this, more or less, and it's like going at a 45-degree angle. So the way that we're going to do that is very simple. I'm going to go back to our front plane, which is in here. First, I'm going to hide this one because I don't want it anymore. So front plane, I'm going to do a sketch. And now I will start drawing something. It could come out from here. It's fine. So I'm going to draw a line that goes, actually, before I do that, so I want my plane to be along this line. And don't worry about fully defining stuff because it's just for the purposes. So if I want my plane to be along that line, then I need to do another center line that is normal to that one. So I'm gonna say, let's make that perpendicular. Okay, so now I exit my sketch. So what I can do is go here to features, reference geometry, and now click on plane. So I can click on this point and on that line. And now you can see the plane is along that line that I set in there. Okay, so now I go here to sketch, and I can go to plane number 2. So now what I can draw is a straight line that goes maybe all the way like this. Maybe goes like that. Yeah, that looks fairly decent. And then I can do a little fillet. Actually, before I do, let's give that some dimensions, right? Let's give that an angle. Let's say that is 120. Let's say, yeah, that's fine. I don't care. And then I'm gonna go here to fillet. I'm gonna go there. Let's make that a 0.1. Let's see, maybe a little bit more. Good. And I'm gonna exit. So the next thing I want to do is I'm gonna go back to features, then reference geometry, plane, and I'm gonna click on this point and on that line. And I'll say, okay. So then on plane free, I'm gonna go back to plane free. I can do a circle. Go here to circle. Let's make that 0.15. And now go to features and sweep. And for sweep, I'm gonna choose the line that I just drew, which is that one in there. So now we have one of the snowman's arms. And then if you want to get particularly fancy, you can make the fingers coming out of his hand. So then what I could do, for instance, is do another sketch in here. Do a little center line. So there's two things that I can do. First, I'm gonna exit. First, I can go here to features, reference geometry, plane. And I can do a plane that is right there. So I'm gonna create that one. And then I go here to sketch, plane 4. And there's a couple of things that I'm gonna do. First, I'm gonna draw a line that goes like this. And I'll click on that line, control that line, and I want those to be collinear, good. And I'm gonna do the same thing with this one over here. Control, I'll make those parallel. I'll smart dimension this. I'll make that 0.15. I'll choose on these two, and I'll make those two equal. Excellent. And then I could make a quick circle, I guess 3-point arch. There we go, right up to there. I'll dimension that. So I could do a quick revolve. So now I'm gonna make part of the hand of this guy. And then I go here to sketch, and we go to plane number 4. And what we could do is just, well, I guess a quick center line. There goes from here. I'm gonna make it relatively quick, like nothing too fancy. But then you can go here to features, then reference geometry, plane, and make a quick plane that is right there. And then I can do a sketch on plane number 5 and do a little circle. So let's say that is 0.04. And then I can extrude that circle up to vertex, and that vertex is that point in there. And then I can hide that. And then another thing I can do is do a quick fillet around that circle, 0.01. And then if that wasn't enough, you could do now a circular pattern of that. So let's see how would that look like. Let's see. See direction, I could choose. Maybe I'm gonna create an axis along there. And now let's try doing our circular pattern. Let's see whether that works. Let's choose direction there. Kind of like a weird hand, I would say. Let's have 5 fingers, and I want them instant spaced 30 degrees. I think. No, actually, that doesn't look too bad. Maybe 45 degrees. Huh? So now you're gonna, and just to wrap this up, right? We're not quite done. We're not quite done. Let's find this plane in here. So now I can do right plane, and then let's do a mirror, and let's mirror all of this stuff. So let's start. Where did we start? On the sweep. So now we got our arm over there. So now it looks like the snowman is chasing you, right? It's just chasing you or wants to give you a hug. it looks like a little bit creepy. But now give it a shot, right? Make it fun, right? Make it. It's too bad it's 10 months until Halloween, right? So it's we're a little bit ahead of the game to make it scary. Anyway, let me just go back in time to this. I guess I'm gonna. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll just go to this point. I'm gonna delete the sweep. That's fine. Everything else that I've done just disappear, but that's okay because I can go here to scale features, geometry plane, and I'm gonna choose there, right? So now I can do a little circle. I don't remember how big I did the other one, right? But say I want it like this big, right? So smart dimension, 0.05, exit. So now what we can do is features loft. I think you could choose that. You could choose that. And obviously that's not what we want. So if you go to centerline parameters, I think it allows you to do it like that. And in fact, this looks a little bit better when you do it that way. So it's just another trick. Thank you for your question. Now, question. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll do it. I guess I'll do it on this one as well. So to draw the ball, just make a sketch here on that face of your, and then you do a center line that goes again like this. Point 0.09. Make this and that one equal. Then make there we go. And now go to features, revolve. And you have your, so now it's a skinny. So here's what I'm gonna start doing, and this is gonna be a lot of fun. And I promise after this, I'll stop for longer so that you guys can catch up. But I'll go to the front plane or any plane that cuts this in half. And then I'll create another plane like we did before. So I clicked on reference geometry and I'm using the front plane as a reference, offsetting by 1.5, and I say, okay, good. So now go to tools, sketch tools. Oh, actually, well, first let's do a sketch on plane one. And now, yes, tools, sketch tools, sketch picture. And I'm gonna bring my friend the Pepsi. There we go. And let's make that a lot smaller. Maybe 2 might work. Yeah, that seems fine. And I'm gonna just move this around a little bit in space to see. Yeah, so that looks about fine. So now we're gonna do a very similar exercise to what we did on Wednesday of last week, actually, when we were tracing out the picture. So again, the approach that I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna do everything on the same sketch. That's gonna be our master sketch. And then everything else, I'm gonna convert entities out of that master sketch. So just follow me out right here. I'll try to do it quickly, that way you guys can see. But at first I'm gonna start by making a circle. It goes more or less like that, and I can move it. Let me move this circle. Actually, I'll do a center line that goes from here to there, and then yes, do the circle. Good, and then I'm gonna do another circle that goes like that, and then using our spline tool, I can start tracing out all of this fun stuff. So you'll see this logo is a little bit more complicated than just doing the Coke label by itself. But I think that's why it might be a little bit more fun to do. And I'm gonna start writing the Pepsi word. So let's do like that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of this Pepsi handwriting. It's not as elegant as the Coke one. The Coke one is, I look at that and it's like glamorous. This stuff is just they took it out from a I don't even know where Pepsi is from. One of my favorite anecdotes of life is visiting Atlanta. Atlanta is a nice city if you like airplanes or you like Coke. You have the Coke Museum there. Um, and I had one of the best days of my life just trying Coke flavors from around the world. My stomach wasn't happy afterwards, but I was, and that's what matters. Uh, so if you're ever down in Atlanta, or like they call it Fatlanta, like down there, definitely check out the Coke Museum. It's it's worth spending a couple of hours. That um, okay, so now let's start using our friend the spline tool. Good. Let's do the other part of the S. That looks decent to me. So there was. So now when you're done, just click exit. And for a sketch picture, I'm just gonna, I don't know why I have two of them, but I'm gonna just suppress them. So now you can see how I got my logo down here. So there's a bunch of things that I'm gonna start doing. The first one is that I'm gonna start a new sketch, still on this plane that I created, which is plane one. And I'm gonna only convert that circle. And now here's where the magic starts, because I'm gonna exit my sketch and I'm gonna do something that's called where is it in here? It's called a wrap, which is this button over there. So if I click in wrap and I click on this, well, actually not sketch 3, I wanna click on sketch 4, and then on this surface, you see that it's now gonna wrap this around there. So I can say, all right, I want it to be wrapped like that. And this, just a trick that I like using always is I want to make this barely noticeable. So I do that, and there you go. The circle was wrapped on the sphere, and it's gonna start looking very neat because then I'm gonna do yet another sketch on plane one, and I'm gonna convert entities, this, and that, right? And now I'm gonna go here to the trim tool, trim to closest, and I'm gonna get rid of, say, those two sides, right? Because that's a Pepsi logo, and I click exit. So then I'm gonna go back to features, then wrap, and here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say, actually, I should exit. Now, yes, I'm gonna wrap, and then it's gonna ask me to select the sketch. So sketch 5, I'm gonna say I wanna wrap it around here. Same thing, I'm gonna dig it inwards. So now I have that being wrapped in that surface too. So now let's finish with the word Pepsi. I'm gonna click on sketch. I'm gonna do a sketch, plane one again, and I'm gonna convert entities. I'm gonna select chain, and I wanna do all of these guys. Very good. And I'm gonna exit my sketch. And here's where it's gonna get fun. I'm gonna do, say, wrap, no, wrap, and I wanna select sketch 7. And each case I'm gonna make it, so let me show you what happens, right? So I'm gonna select this face, and I can say 0.1. So if I do 0.1, for instance, the wrap itself is that it's like a massive Pepsi. So I can hide that, let me just hide. So essentially wrapping the word Pepsi all around that. What I could do is just to make it barely noticeable, I just decrease the thickness to be 0.01. But at least you can notice that. So there you go. How do you guys like it? So then I can change the appearance of this thing. Oh, here to body. Let's make this like aluminum, right? Something like that. And then the Pepsi logo is red, blue, and black. Okay. So let me just make sure red, blue. So I'm gonna go to that face. That's red. I'm gonna go to this face. It's blue. I'm gonna go to this wrap. And that's black. And then everything else is white. So again, go to the very first wrap and make that white. There you go. You did a SolidWorks Pepsi can, but you see, this doesn't compare to the elegance of, something like this bad boy. I think this is a lot nicer than Pepsi. Who even drinks Pepsi, right? But look at, you can download this model and complicate your lives a little bit more by seeing how I designed the top part. We're gonna leave that for maybe another day, not today. But it's super easy, just building stuff off from the top and then just making a couple of details, right, to make this like just making it look like a realistic can. But for this is a decent approach, right, to make something at least very recognizable. Pepsi,